Now, the Duke of Sussex has said he wants to reconcile with the King and the Prince of Wales, but has claimed that the palace is unwilling to. Wonder why? Prince Harry has revealed his side of the story in a set of interviews which are set to air 2 days ahead of the publication of his highly anticipated, already half-priced, memoir, Spare. Here's a little taste of what we can expect.
Needed to be this way. The leaking and the planting. I want a family, not an institution. They feel as though it's better to keep us somehow as the villains. They've shown absolutely no willingness to reconcile. I would like to get my father back. I would like to have my brother back.
Well, there you go. Right, joining us now, I'm delighted to say, is the author of Elizabeth and Philip, a story of young love, marriage and monarchy, Dr. Tessa Dunlop. Hello, Tessa. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Tessa, we have to talk about Harry, don't we? The front page of pretty much every newspaper today, Harry, I want my father and brother back. What do you make about what he's saying and the way he's going about, if that's what he wants, to get the family back together?
What we've got is a perfect storm where the Duke of Sussex is clearly a man in pain. I think perhaps inevitably his two primary family members, remaining family members, were his brother and his father until he married Meghan Markle. And now he's lost both of them. So he's suffering. I think that's perhaps inevitable. And at the same time, he has left his royal role. He's left the institution of monarchy, but he, of course, with inbuilt entitlement, because he was born a blue-blooded prince, has certain expectations about the way he should live, and understandably, I think so, and therefore he needs to make money. So he's punching out this painful message, painful for him, painful for the royal family to receive, with maximum money-making capacity. So it is effectively a perfect storm, and it's a very uncomfortable one, I think, for both the House of Montecito and the House of Windsor.
And is it going to work, Tessa? I mean, come on, if you really want to get back on... All families have rows, OK? This one might be slightly more dramatic. But if you really want to get back on side with a family member, I mean, it's not only washing the dirty laundry in public, it's hanging it out to dry and pointing it out to you in graphic detail. I mean, if you were William, and Kate, I think, is coming in for a bit of a bashing as well in the book that's coming out, is this really the way to build bridges?
I think one of the primary issues, and he kind of addresses it in one of those trailers that have been released, is that he doesn't belong to a so-called normal family. It is an institution as well as a family, and Harry's left the institution and wants just the family, and ne'er the twain will meet, because of course the remaining family members are still within the institution. So there's a paradox there, and it's very difficult to see how it can be unpacked. Will it work? Well, one part of the perfect storm is working, and that is they're making a lot of money. They've got extraordinary platforms in a way that former royals who left the institution didn't have. They've got a whole new continent, not at their feet, but certainly more receptive than I think our conservative press would like to acknowledge in this country. And I think that amidst the pain thesis, because we have to recognise that it's their truth rather than just the whole truth, I think that he's made some valid criticisms. But do I believe this is the road to recovery for his relationship with Charles and William? No, it's clearly not. It doesn't take a psychotherapist to work that one out.
And Tessa, I have to ask this question, I mean, because that's what people watching, listening this morning will be saying. How much of this do you think is coming from Meghan? Or do you think it is all Harry's doing?
Well, interestingly, I think that we would love to pretend. I say we. I say the kind of the agendaed press, and it is Dawn. I mean, even the way you introduce this section, there were little arrows flying, weren't there? You know, already half-priced. But when the majority of Britain's press are not on Harry and Meghan's side. I'm not saying they should be, but I think that we have to own that. And generally, because Harry was a charismatic, cool dude who did his couple of tours in Afghanistan, he wasn't, you know, a dissolute king like Edward VIII. He wasn't a disgraceful prince like Andrew. He was someone we were all fond of. So it works for our predominantly right-wing media agenda to make out that the baddie is Meghan. baddie insofar as we don't like people attacking our famous institution of state, the monarchy. But if you look at Harry, I mean, this is a guy who's on a very deeply personal journey, and he's clearly a man in pain. I was struck in those trailers how pale he looked. There is no sort of sun-drenched Californian vibe going on. He's a man who's feeling this, and without the protection of monarchy and without the protection of his family around him. I kind of feel that he's almost alone. It's something that Meghan can't share with him, really, because she very briefly flirted with the House of Windsor and kind of pretended to be a princess for a little bit. But Harry grew up with this. The split, the wrench. I mean, this is his roots. This is his DNA. It's really painful stuff, which is why it is both compelling and appalling.
Welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad. Today we're diving into yet another attempt by the British media to vilify Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
So we're strolling down memory lane for a look at the moments that made us
within the
swoon.
royal institution.
It's beautiful as you remember.
But we see through the smoke
It's amazing,
screen,
isn't
and we're
it?
here to set the record straight.
Kicking off our royal cuteness countdown, Meghan's reaction to seeing her wedding dress for the first time since she and Harry said "I do" on May 19th, 2018.
The work
Twisting Prince Harry's words, painting him
The
as a
moment
lost,
was
bitter
filmed for
man, and
HBO's
somehow
documentary
blaming Meghan for
Queen of the
everything under
World
sun.
and came complete
Seriously,
with
when
this
will they let this
heartwarming
go?
revelation.
Prince Harry
There's a
recently
piece of,
spoke
did you
about
see it?
his
The piece of blue
desire to
fabric that's
reconcile
stitched
with his father
inside?
and brother.
No. It's my
Guess
something
what?
blue. It's
the
my-
palace is
it's
showing
fabric
zero
from my-
willingness to meet him
Yes, we'll have to
halfway.
look at that.
And yet
It's
the press
fabric
wants
from
to
the
act
dress
like
that we wore
Harry's
on
the
our first
problem.
date.
Please,
Oh,
he has
that's
made
not
it
nice romantic.
abundantly clear. He
And
wants a
if MM's
family,
wedding
not an
gowns don't melt
institution.
your heart,
And that
Meghan
right
and
there
Harry's
is the crux of the
PDA-filled
issue.
polo
The royal
tournament
family
might
isn't
do the
just a
trick.
family, it's a machine built on
The Duke and his
control,
close friend
secrecy,
Nacho
and
Figueres
optics.
led Team
Harry choosing
Regis
his
to
mental health,
victory
his wife
at
and
the
his
8th
children
annual
over blind
Sant'Abale
loyalty to
Polo
that
Cup
system.
last
That's a threat to
July.
them. And let's
Meghan,
talk
who'd been
about this
looking on from her
ridiculous
own
narrative that
royal
Harry's only
box,
doing this for
presented the
money. First of all,
champions
does the
with
British
their
press
trophy,
think people should
but
just
she
work
saved
for
the
free?
grand
Harry
prize
and
for
Meghan
her
walked away
prince.
from royal life. That means they had to
And
find
that
ways
certainly
to support
wasn't the
themselves,
couple's
unlike
only
certain royals who
swoon-worthy
are still
moment
living
of the
off
day.
taxpayers while doing
At
next to
number
nothing.
6,
And
Meghan
let's
and
be
Harry's
real,
appearance
if the
at the
royal
100th
institution and its
anniversary of
cronies
the
weren't
Royal
so
Air
determined
Force.
to smear and isolate them, Harry wouldn't have had to share his side of the story.
We quickly learned
Spare
that the
is not
Sussex
just a
couple
memoir.
is much
It's
more
a
affectionate
necessary
than the
response to
Cambridge
years
duo
of media
as they
abuse
entered
and
Westminster
institutional
Abbey.
betrayal.
Meghan
And of
holding
course they
Harry's
had to throw
arm
Meghan
while
into
Will
the
and
mix
Kate
because
kept their
apparently
distance.
the idea
And
that
the
a
Fields
grown man
didn't
can think
end
for
there.
himself is too
Meghan and
much
Harry
for some
graced
people
us
to
with
handle.
plenty of loving looks
The
and
constant attempts
affection.
to paint Meghan
Up
as the
next, Harry and
mastermind
Meghan's
behind
visit to the
Harry's
Joff
every
Youth
decision
Centre
are not
in
just
Sussex.
ridiculous, but deeply rooted in racism and misogyny. Meghan isn't leading Harry astray. He's a man who has seen firsthand how
The adorable
institution
newlyweds
failed his
couldn't get
mother,
enough of their
and he
eager
refuses to
fans
let
or
history
each
repeat
other.
itself with his wife and children. That's called growth,
This is a
not
couple that just
manipulation.
looks like
And
they
let's talk about
genuinely
how the media
enjoy
still
each other's
refuses to
company,
hold the
no matter
actual
what
bad
they're doing.
actors accountable.
At number
Prince
4,
Andrew,
Meghan and
swept
Harry's
under the
first
rug
official
in
royal
Charles's
tour
shady
of
dealings.
Australia, New
Barely a
Zealand,
blip on the
Tonga
radar,
and
but Harry and
Fiji.
Meghan choosing to live a peaceful life in California.
Soon
That's
after
where they draw
touching
the line.
down, the
The
palace
hypocrisy is
announced that the
staggering.
Duchess
At
was
the end of the
pregnant
day,
with their
the British
first
press and
child,
the monarchy
and the
itself are
cuteness
terrified.
ensued.
Terrified
Harry
that
gushed
Harry and
at
Meghan
every
have built a
opportunity
global
he got.
platform without
We also
them.
generally couldn't think
Terrified
of a
that
better
their
place
outdated system
to
is
announce
being exposed for what it truly is.
the upcoming
And terrified that they
baby.
can't control
I've been
the
so
narrative
proud
anymore.
to be able to
So,
introduce my wife
let's
to
be
you,
clear, Harry
and we have been
and
so
Meghan
happy
owe no one
to be able to
an apology.
celebrate the
They are
personal
thriving
joy
and speaking
of
their
our
truth
newest
and
edition
living life
with
on
you
their
all.
terms, and for that they should be applauded, not vilified.
Meanwhile,
What do you think,
Meghan gave
squad?
us our first
Are you
glimpse
tired
of what
the endless
soon
media
became her
smear campaign
iconic bump
against Harry and
cradle.
Meghan?
You have a
Let's
lot
discuss
to
in
be
the
proud
comments.
of.
During
And
the trip,
if you
the
love
royals
truth and
shared
want to
several
support the
sweet
channel,
moments
don't
under
forget to like,
umbrellas,
subscribe, and
a
drop
number of
super
romantic
thanks. Until
strolls,
next time, stay
precious
bold,
moments
stay
with
informed,
kids,
and keep
and
supporting
can we
the
talk
Sussexes.
about
See
the
you in
way
the
they
next one.
look at each other?